Cronan Saga.
Night had set. Alex had reluctantly agreed to guide Cronan to the antique shop. He owed it to Billy. How could he explain this to Mom? To anyone? He listened to the strange man's heavy footfalls and the small creaks his hide armor made when he moved. Though they made an odd pair, he found Cronan's steady presence somehow comforting. Still, it was an eerie feeling being in the docks district after dark. Alex had been skating here during the day, but he had never dared linger this late. It had an unsavory air, with the distant red light of some sad brothel and the anonymous, angry shouts that ricocheted, confronting them at strange angles. Alex dared not linger. Most of all, for the ominous way, the darkness in each corner and at the end of every street devoured their footsteps. And in that black, again and again, Alex saw Billy's demise. FENG's curios and the other words on the sign had been worn away. It rattled slightly in the wind. Cronan noticed that the peasant boy had positioned himself behind him. The smooth black door was locked behind forbidding wrought iron bars. I don't know if it's still open. Maybe we should... Onwards, young one. Cronan turned and took a knee beside him. Though he still towered over him, the difference in heights was somewhat reduced.
If you succumb to fear now, then how shall I see you rise to glory?
He gave Alex a pat, stumbling him, and turned back to the door.
Iron will not dissuade us.
He mightily pulled apart the metal rails. They bent easily. Cronan then grasped the knob, but frowned. It did not move.
Strange, he said, half under his breath. His arms tensed as his veins protruded.
Still nothing.
Cronan furrowed his brow, further increasing the force.
The door began to creak and warp. Alex nervously fidgeted and looked around, worried that someone might see them. Under the immense force, the building let out a low rumble.
Sweating and trembling with effort, Cronan pulled harder. The old metal knob started to deform, crushed in Cronan's mighty grip. The bricks shifted, loosing dust from decades past, and the foundations shuddered. Alex took a step back as the building began to make still more noises. He could swear that beyond the creaks, cracks, and the sounds of shifting masonry, the building itself began to call, to shriek.
It's talking to... Alex began, but with a sudden splintering crack, the knob came loose, ripped clean out of the wooden panel. The doorway sighed as it drifted open, leaking stale air out from the dark interior.
You see,
Cronan said, as he lightly tossed the deformed knob aside. Cronan and Alex entered the old shop. It was both larger and smaller than it appeared from the outside. Shelves crammed with mysterious objects towered above them, rows of lacquered boxes, obsidian amulets, and dusty scrolls with gold leaf. A faint greenish mist floated lazily through the air. The dank stillness was unsettling. It was as if the shop itself were watching, and vexed by the intrusion.
Come,
said Cronan boldly, but Alex could not help but notice that the warrior was gripping Riftblade tightly. Wide-eyed, Alex shuffled forward, tentatively following. His gaze darted to every corner, the darkness behind him, to the little sounds he thought he heard, to every pregnant shadow, expecting the worst. Cronan's boots thudded heavily on the floorboards, the sound quickly dying in the stillborn air. He paused, listening. His voice suddenly split the shop's oppressive atmosphere. "FENG!" There was no answer. Cronan strode further into the shop. Its narrow passages were claustrophobic. As they penetrated deeper, the objects seemed to grow in power and liveliness. Their dusty, forgotten shelves arced dizzyingly to the ceiling on every side, and the menagerie jittered as Cronan and Alex walked by. Something, Alex was sure, was watching. The sounds receded as they approached, only to emerge again as they passed, cursing them with mysterious creaks and rattles from the safety of the darkness. Alex spun to the sound of a bottle's clink, but saw nothing. Cronan's eyes, sharp as a blade, swept across the items on display, each one dripping with unknown power. A bronze mirror behind the countertop reflected not his face, but a roiling sea of storm clouds. An ivory fan tucked away in the corner chanted ominously in a forgotten tongue. The crow ruffled its feathers and cawed, looking sidelong at the mirror. Cronan's lip curled slightly, unimpressed. He turned around and strode back to face the mirror of storms. He readied Riftblade, waiting. Gradually, from the mirrored gloomy clouds, a figure emerged. A hunched old man with a long, smooth beard that trailed down to his chest. His robes were of dark silk, embroidered with coiling dragons, and his eyes gleamed with the stillness of a pond at midnight. "Welcome, strangers. I am the purveyor of this shop, FENG," the old man rasped. His voice was dusty as old parchment. "What is it you seek?" Cronan stepped forward, towering over the ancient shopkeeper. His hand hesitated on the hilt of his guitar axe. He placed it on the counter and slid it slowly towards the old man. "I need this repaired," he said, his voice low. "And what will you offer in return, warrior?" The shopkeeper's voice was quiet, dangerous. Cronan spat and leaned in, his face inches from the old man's. "The promise that I won't burn this place to ash." The old man's thin lips stretched into a smile, though there was no warmth in it. He glided his fingers across the single string on Riftblade. "Ah, a soul string," he said dustily, without looking up. "If you find another 5, then this will truly be a weapon of legend. Perhaps even one that Smoovja will fear." "What do you know? Enough of this coyness. I know you have spoken to Yuda's priest." "So, you have come," the old man said quietly. FENG looked up, regarding Cronan calmly with his black eyes, perhaps trying to gauge his reaction. I am afraid. I no longer have the ability to communicate with him. The ring that allowed us to bridge that gap has been lost.
Cronan's eyes narrowed, his hand moving closer to Riftblade's hilt. "Explain yourself, wizard," he said, coldly emphasizing the last word.
Lei Feng inclined his head slightly, unbothered by the threat. It was implanted in the skull of another of the high demons. Hanatarash, Congress of Sins. Bring me the ring, and you will speak to Yuda's priest again.
Bring the ring? Does that mean there are more demons here?
Asked Alex, concerned. The terrible thought that there could be more victims like Billy hung heavily in his mind. Lei Feng's gaze flicked to Alex. His lips curved into a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Oh, yes. Earth is a part of his plans, intoned Lei Feng mysteriously. And why should I trust you? Cronan growled, drawing himself still closer to the old man. Lei Feng smiled and gently moved back, turning slightly as though he was removing himself from the edge of a blade. He glided to a dusty cabinet and opened a drawer with a creak that echoed through the shop like a cry. He withdrew a small, jagged stone. It pulsed faintly with a sickly red light, a heartbeat in the dark. This, he whispered, holding the stone up between his bony fingers, may help you. It binds souls and demons alike. Your crow, for instance, has 2 souls. I cannot say which shall prevail. Take this and soothe its soul. You may also take what you like from my shop as a token of my apology.
Cronan had run out of patience. "You reek of evil, old man! I will destroy any who is in league with Smooth Jahaz." Lei Feng cackled dryly.
Bold words, warrior.
Cronan lurched forward as he swung a blow that could have shattered bone, that should have ended the old man. His knuckles connected with Lei Feng's chin, but then passed through it, as if striking but a plume of dust. Lei Feng's cackle filled the room. A winter wind through dry twigs, as his ghostly form receded into the heavy air, into the dust, and into the sea reflected in the mirror. With a snarl, Cronan leapt over the counter and clutched at him, but he passed through his fingertips like the moon behind a cloud.